Hello Simmers, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. We're super happy to have you here today. So today I am building 3 townhouses. I was actually gonna wait until the new pack came out. However, when the trailer came out, I got super excited and I just decided I was going to build these townhouses. So I'm working on something completely different, but I kind of wanted to go with this Victorian, like, Gothic style. And so that's where the inspiration came from. Yeah, and then I wanted each townhouse to be different in style. Similar layouts, but definitely different style in each one. So the middle one I refer to as the first townhouse. The one on the right I refer to as the second, and the one on the left I refer to as the third. So if I talk about them in the video, you know which one I'm talking about. So the middle one, the first townhouse, that is like a dark black and white, like super high contrast, I suppose, color scheme inside. And then number 2, it's really light, so it does have a bit of a contrast with whites and blacks. However, it's mainly white. And then the one on the left, which is number 3, it's more brown tones, so very natural wood tones. So it would fit, each apartment could fit a different kind of taste or style in home design. So the way that we're gonna do this build, I have not decorated them. I've decided that any kind of townhouse, or I mean, really, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start uploading videos. No, I'm going to start uploading my builds to the gallery in 2 ways. So I'm going to upload a version that's unfurnished, and then I'm gonna upload a version that is furnished. And then the version that's furnished is going to be what you see in the video. I mean, obviously you're gonna see the unfurnished version in this video, but because there's 3 of them, I am breaking the video up into 2. So this video is just under 30 minutes, and it's just building, screenshots, and then my next video will be me furnishing each townhouse. And like I said, I will be uploading each one to the gallery separately, not each townhouse, just unfurnished and furnished. So you will see that when this video is released, the unfurnished version is going to be on the gallery. So here I'm just working out the floor plans of each of the ground levels. So the middle one is actually a little bit bigger than the end townhouses. So for the majority of each townhouse, their layout is pretty similar, but they do differ, each one, even the 2 on the ends that are similar in size. So the first townhouse, which is the middle one, the larger one, it actually has 3 bedrooms. So there is a bedroom on the first floor and then 2 on the second floor. Each townhouse has a powder room or a half bath on the first floor, and then on the second floor there is a full bath in each townhouse. There is laundry in each unit. So the 2 end units, 2 and 3, they have theirs a stackable washer and dryer in the pantry off the kitchen, and then the third or the first townhouse, which is the middle one, the larger one, has the laundry in the full bath upstairs. Each townhouse does have access to the roof. And the thought around that is I figured it could kind of be like a shared space in the front portion of the roof. However, each townhouse has a separate entry to like a little room on the 3rd floor that leads to the back portion of the roof, and they are all separate. So I was thinking that any kind of maintenance stuff would, for each unit, would be up on the 3rd floor in those like utility rooms, I guess you could call them. I didn't make basements, and I figured that typically in these type of styles of buildings, they do have a rooftop access, and their AC units and whatnot are usually up there, so that's what I was going for, and yeah. So here I'm just placing just placeholder furniture to get the idea of where I was gonna lay things out. Just gonna throw it out there, I only picked furniture that would stand out when it came to the colors. So for example, the pink bed really stood out so that I could kind of see it from a distance, and I didn't have to like get close and be like, what is this again? So yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. I went with, for the majority of the living spaces in each townhouse, there is wood flooring. I understand, like, I know it's a rental, and typically in these types of, in rentals, they typically go for like a cheaper material, but I was thinking maybe it's like knockoff wood, I don't know, or maybe it was like original to the build and they just resurfaced them, I don't know. But what I'm thinking is this is a newly semi-renovated complex, if you will. I don't know if it would be classified as a complex, but for the sake of referring to it as a whole, the complex, maybe the landlord recently got an inheritance or something, and they decided that they were going to renovate their the complex that their rental complex that they have, but they obviously didn't want to go all out. So you will notice in some of the builds that there are older looking pieces. I don't know what I would call it, but for example, in this unit that we're looking at right now, it has an original, air quotes, toilet to the build, just because it is like an older toilet. I used the toilet from Vampires. Side note, I had really been wanting to get vampires and werewolves. I don't have them, and I had really been wanting to get them, and a build that I'm working on, like I had mentioned earlier, that has like the same kind of style, really needed that like Victorian type, an old type of feel. And so I just decided I'm just gonna go and get vampires. And then so when I was building this, it came really in handy because I used the vampires counters in the middle apartment, the number 1, and then like I said, I used the toilet because it is like an older feature or an older part of the complex. So like I said, kind of with like maybe the renovating of the floors, he just decided to keep certain things and try to restore them, and since the toilet wasn't broken, why fix something that doesn't need to be fixed? It just adds character. Same with, I was thinking, a lot of old builds you see where people are really intrigued and they really like the fact that the like the old wood is still there. So like the columns and baseboards and whatnot, that kind of stuff. So I made sure that in each entryway off the stairs toward the living room, there was that entryway. Like it had that grand with the columns and the, I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, it's kind of like an arch, but it's not really an arch. The header, no. Goodness, I can't recall what it's called. Oh my gosh. It's gonna bother me now, but we'll just move on. So in this apartment, which is number 2, it's more of a modern feel. Just because of the lightness of it, I felt like a more modern feel would be really good. This apartment does not have an actual dining space. This apartment, I just gave them a really big island. There is a little bit of a empty space next to the fridge. You could probably fit a 2-seater table. And I think that's probably what I'll do when I go to furnish these builds. I will probably add a little like breakfast table, I don't know, in there so that there is some sort of non-bar seating. I mean, it's not a bar, but no island seating. There is going to be just like a little table. Fun fact though about that particular apartment or townhouse, on the second floor, the bedrooms are a little bit smaller than the other apartments because I needed to give access to the roof. And the way that the layout was, because these are all identical apartments, they're not mirrored, so they're a little off balance. To be able to give them access to the roof, I did need to move their access, that's what I'm doing right now, their access over into where I was going to have the bathroom. So I kind of just switched up the floor plans of this particular apartment, and so they have a little extra like landing space. So I figured it could be like a little bonus area. They could have like an open office or something up there, some study area, I don't know. But that floor plan does differ a little bit on the second floor than the other 2 apartments. Here, I was trying to give something, I was trying to give the builds something that represented their past, I guess, to show the oldness, but also renovated. So what I did is, since it's a rental and we kind of want to stay away from things that could start fires, I figured we could add a fireplace, a faux fireplace. And you know how like some people will, instead of taking like the fireplace out when it's no longer useful or used or functional, they just cover it. So the mantle and stuff will still be there. So what I did is I used that as like an art piece or a like a focal point of the room, and it also shows like the history of the build. So I don't know, I really like that idea, and I figured that it could be useful for, I don't know, just decoration, just to give the apartment something unique. And each apartment does have that, so you'll see that you won't see me do it again. I only showed one, just so you got the idea of what I did and how I got there. But each apartment does have that faux fireplace, and yeah, the third apartment, which is the one on the far left, it has the living room, like the feature wall, if you will, where the fireplace is actually facing toward the back of the build, because like I said, these are not mirrored apartments, they are identical. So being that there is a window on the side where the other fireplaces are placed, I did not put the focal point in that room on the left wall like the other builds. It is on the back wall of the living room. This apartment, the apartment with the wood apartment, the one on the left, the one we were just talking about, it actually has a kitchen and a little it has an actual allocated dining room. So like I said, each apartment does differ a little bit in the layout, but they all still kind of hold the same idea of how they're laid out, just a little bit different. Okay, so in trying to pick paint colors for the rooms for this build, I really wanted to go with really neutral colors, because when you move into an apartment or something like this, you don't typically get to change the colors. But I also didn't want to go with white because how boring, right? So there is a lot of browns and grays and mauve, or like a dusty rosy color. I don't know if that's the right color, but that's what I said. Anyway, so I also thought, so when I was building these, I had in mind in old buildings, there's typically firewalls. So separating each building is brick. So I did go with a brick in each apartment, facing the adjacent apartment. I'm sorry that I keep referring to these as townhouses and apartments. It is what it is. Yeah, I figured the brown build could probably have like the original red brick, and then maybe the other two apartments where they had painted the brick, just to kind of go along with the theme of the interior style, like the colors. Here is where I've moved to the second floor, and I am placing furniture that, what would you call this? Like furniture that is typically in the like in a building when you move in, so toilets, sinks, counters, that type of stuff. So I was just adding all that, and that stuff is in here, so I suppose it's like partially furnished, but just with your standard things that come, your standard utilities, I guess, that come in a build. Here I'm trying to figure out how I wanted the bathroom laid out with the room upstairs, because this is the smaller upstairs unit, so the bathroom and the second bedroom are a little bit smaller than each other, because of the bonus office upstairs, and the access to the roof level. I was just playing around here with figuring out what I could do for like a countertop, like a custom counter, but I think I ended up sticking with the Jungle Adventure, and I'm so sorry I can't think of what the Snowy Escape. So Jungle Adventure and Snowy Escape counters. I went with that because I wanted there's not very much room in that bathroom, and I wanted to be able to have some storage space in there, so I figured the Snowy Escape counters are open and you can see the clutter that will be there. So here I was playing around with this layout of this bathroom. I didn't know how I wanted it. I wasn't say I didn't remember if I left it for a little bit and came back, but no, I didn't. So I ended up just adding in two little columns, I guess, to just make space for the bathroom so that the layout would fit a little bit better. Here I was debating on making the upstairs third bedroom longer, so I think that I'm gonna like call this or refer to this back bedroom as the master bedroom in the middle apartment, because it does have its own balcony access. I don't necessarily know if it's bigger or smaller than the other bedroom upstairs. However, being that it does have that balcony access, it could be the master. There is no master suite technically in any one of these apartments, just because there is only one full bath and it has the half bath downstairs on the ground level. I couldn't decide what I wanted for the top of this building, because right now it looks pretty silly with these things sticking out of the roof, right? So what I actually ended up doing is I made this second floor. Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna back up for a second. Something was missing. Something just looked off to me, even after, because I do end up putting like wisteria around the build, because it's old. You know, I live around Chicago, and I see a lot of old buildings, not just in Chicago, but in Chicago there are some where, like, if you think about Wrigley Field, if you think about Wrigley Field, it's like, no, like the ivy, right? And then or even all around that area, and kind of where I live about like an hour and a half away from Chicago, but there's a lot of old architecture and buildings around where I live also, and these old buildings, oh my gosh, people restore them and then just let the ivy go, but it's maintenance. So I don't know, it's so beautiful. And oh my gosh, when fall comes, wow, the colors. I mean, it looks beautiful in any time of the year with the ivy growing up, but let me tell you, there is nothing comparing to the way it looks in the fall time. So I know it doesn't change here in The Sims, but I did want to put wisteria on the build to give it that old-timey character, to just fit in with the style of the build. So shoot, oh yes, I was like, I forgot where I was going. But anyway, even after I added the wisteria, I still felt like something was missing, like the building just looked really plain. So then I ended up, I think it's from Jungle Adventure, they're like some sort of tile looking things. I ended up putting those on like the angled portions of the outside. So any time that there's an angle on a wall, I ended up putting those like tile things from Jungle Adventure. I think they're from Jungle Adventure. I'm like 99% sure they're from Jungle Adventure. But I did add those to give it some sort of texture on the front. I did end up changing the plaster to stone all the way up on the two end apartments. And then, because I still felt like it was missing something, what I did was I made the second story, so the second floor, I made into a medium wall height. I mean, it's pretty typical to have like really high ceilings in these type of buildings. I definitely didn't want to do that on the first level because I don't like anything other than like a regular wall height. I will sometimes go to a medium wall height if I'm looking to add certain characteristics. For example, in this build I wanted to add that frieze, the really thick one. Well, one of the really thick ones. So I added the frieze on the top of the second story, and then on the third story I did have that small half wall. On accident, I saw that I could add that frieze on top of the half wall. So what I did is I also put it on the top of the half wall, and then just enlarged the half wall until you couldn't tell it was a half wall anymore. But I don't have any of that footage, but you will see it in the screenshots. And speaking of screenshots, the screenshots are coming up here any minute now. So I really hope you enjoyed this build, and I hope you enjoy the screenshots. And don't forget, this will be on the gallery, unfurnished right now, and then once my next video is released, the furnished version, that will be on the gallery also. My gallery ID is Bubblini911. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I look forward to seeing you again for another Sims 4 speed building video. Bye!